Okay, we're all back. So I don't want to spoil it. I was very happy to be in the group that I was in, so I'm gonna hold the feedback from my group after we hear from the other facilitators. And so if we can start with Jerome first.
Yes, absolutely. So I had a incredibly positive group, lots of discussion, a lot of participation, lot of ideas. Was very. I hope the conversation also was, enlightening for everybody. And we talked about a lot of things. There were, as usual, many themes that I tried to extract from the conversation. And one of them uh, and I'm going to present them in different order than what of course we discussed. But one of them is that, first of all, this situation of COVID and isolation has for some people not really changed many things. People, in a sense that people had activities with their communities, and what they found is that they found ways to basically use technology to connect to one another and have meetings, try to talk on a regular basis, perhaps every day, every other day, have groups, chat and use every moment to basically reconnect. But also, I think that one important thing that came out is that, it's not only for us to only discuss through Zoom or other means or Skype or whatever, but it's also for us to share the moments that are important during the day. And one person, mentioned that uh, taking, for example, pictures of those moments, those moments in time that cannot be shared with others, and resharing those pictures is a very important little thing that you can do on an everyday basis in order to really get this connection with everyone. And not only that, but perhaps also text, oh, this is what happened. Take a picture of the food that you are doing. Tell the joke of the moment, and all of that has been very helpful. And another thought that were there is that on the other side is that the situation in the isolation has also showed us that while food is the sustenance for our body, people are the sustenance for our emotion. And that without people, without our connections, we don't have the proper validation of our own self. And we also covered the notion of, someone brought a new notion, a new acronym, SHINE, like a set of essential things that we need to have in our lives. And SHINE standing for sleep, hydration, inner size, nourishment, exercise, and sunshine. So it's the idea that building a network also of like-minded people and trying to also focus on a balance between all of those shine activities is important to actually create this balance in our lives. The other thing is that that this isolation also has brought something else, and that I already perhaps said, because when I brought the fact that it is the people that really matter. The other part is that before COVID, we had a lot of activities and a lot of things, lots of consumption of good or buying things and things like that, and a lot of those things now appear superfluous. There are things that we don't necessarily do anymore. And that brings to our mind that the greatest luxury are the people in our lives, not the material stuff. And perhaps COVID is, in a sense, a blessing because it has allowed us to realize that it is those personal relationships that are important. And also, when we go out and we interact with people, the other idea was that in order to really show that you appreciate life and the people, be intentional about enjoying and showing your authenticity every day. Make the most of now. That was a little bit the theme that we have covered in our team. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerome. Um, Malia, would you like to share now?
Yes. So thank you also to my group. I think we had a wonderful conversation. It was actually really like just so calm and so natural, and I really appreciated that. So we had a few themes. One of the biggest is how the pandemic and connecting with people has been more intentional behind our interactions. So like scheduling time with those that we want to stay connected to, and making sure that there's like a schedule that we kind of adhere to in order to stay connected to them. And it also allows people right now to have a deeper conversation. And one of our members said, from customer relationship to actual friendship has actually happened in her professional life. And I think part of that, what she talked about, is that there's, this room to when you're connecting with people socially, and that we're going all through all this together, that it's like a casual aspect. It's faster to be casual with people and allows us to go deeper. And we talked about how in the pandemic, we've actually met new friends virtually, and people that we would not have otherwise met. And even here, like this platform, because either we wouldn't have the time, we'd be busy running around, that maybe we wouldn't have a schedule or been participating. But because we are in these situations, we've met people who, again, have built friendships. And because of this situation, been able to go deeper into those friendships actually faster. And a suggestion about, instead of Zoom, sometimes phone calls, because old school phone calls actually allow you to connect and be vulnerable, but allow people for privacy if they don't want to be seen as well, if they need to cry. People are talking about connecting with family and appreciating like the aspect of time, that not only do we have a lot of time, but we also understand that we are on unlimited time. And while difficult conversations, are difficult through the phone, and we have to adjust the way we maybe would present information before, when we were there to be in their space or share that space with them as a form of comfort, that has been removed, and which led us to really all kind of agree that we really miss touching. We miss the touch of others, and that's something that, as we're connected, we have to find ways to build that relationship with the absence of touch. And I'll finish it off with, talking about loneliness and isolation. And it has been noticeable more or less, for depending on the type of person that you are. And really, it's because we have all of this time. And through all of that time, we have members who have really had developed a sense of empathy and taking the time to really understand yourself and go within yourself. And that allows you, again, go back, connect with people. It's easier to have difficult conversations when you really understand who you are and the perspective that you're coming from. And one of our members actually, started to reach out and have these events socially to connect with her friend group to help with loneliness, or that people are lonely, and really take an active step forward. And another team member said, you know what, I'm going to also reach out to my network unsolicited, just check in with people and see who also needs to be connected. Because, when you're lonely, you're so out of it that you're not going to be the one who puts that foot forward. And sometimes you need someone to put that foot forward for you. So that was a really encouraging thing and a friendly reminder for us.
So, Malia, I think we were in identical groups, because all of those highlights are definitely what was experienced in my group. One of the first things that stood out for my group is the theme of intentionality. It seems that, despite like not being in physical spaces together, and even some loss, people have definitely amplified their own intentionality to come into shared spaces virtually, and be with loved ones, and also connect, like you were mentioning, Malia, with people that you traditionally would not have been able to connect with. And it was really big around just not taking the relationships for granted. We had someone in the group who spoke about the power of this pandemic bringing them closer to their family member, and like making them closer than they probably would have organically grew to know and understand one another. And so and that theme was also communicated throughout many examples of us reaching out to people that we didn't normally connect with through social media, whether it was Facebook or Zoom or WhatsApp or all of these different platforms. And another theme that came up for our group is creativity and finding ways to make those spaces special and unique, and connected to intentionality, whether that was having meetings that were themed, and having specific conversations that you would talk about. And we also one person really brought up a really great idea, and it was with a person that they probably would have not naturally connected with outside of the pandemic, but having accountability checks and wellness check-ins with people who may be experiencing loneliness. And that is something that I definitely experienced in my practice as a therapist, just people wanting to be able to connect and trying to find new spaces for that absence of intimacy or that absence of affection, like during this pandemic. So I think that like that was really important. And just to wrap it back around to our presenter and our opener in the beginning, mentioning the importance of intentionality and mindfulness, and making sure that when we show up in the spaces, that we're being intentional about what we're bringing, and what impact we're making, and making sure that our intent and our impact is aligned. And I think that the conversation around food is so powerful, because food can be healing. It can eliminate anxiety, and the same with social connections. And so, we have the holidays coming up, and I think this is going to be a very unique and special time for many of us, where we may not be connecting face to face and in the same room. But I shared in my group that I have a lot of intentions that are coming to the group, because a lot of my family members live in places where they can make a really big social impact, and they may not know. And so I want to make sure I bring that to them. And I think that this pandemic, even though it has caused a lot of strife for many, it's opened up a lot of gateways into spaces where we are able to connect with people that we just naturally wouldn't connect with. And especially for example, this space. I'm really grateful for this space, and the ability to connect with people here. And the connection and socialization is something that is essential to our well-being. And I think if I mean it's forced us to slow down, but if we continue to reflect on the pace, I think it just creates an opportunity for us to really explore and expand our own creativeness around being connected to one another, and even being connected to self, and digging deeper with self. because in the hustle and bustle, when things are going fast paced, sometimes we don't have that opportunity to just slow down and reflect. And I think that this pandemic has definitely done that for us, making many people have to slow down and reflect on what is happening in their lives. And yeah, I am happy around just the opportunity to connect with you all and continue to connect with you all, and connect with people that I just never would have had access to realistically. So I want us to actually take a moment to ground ourselves and center ourselves in intentionality, and take that intentionality as we enter into this space, through the weekend, through the rest of the year, through a new decade, um, and just reflect. And while we're grounding ourselves, I would like us to just take a moment of mindfulness. And if you can, make sure that you're planted, your feet are grounded, and your posture, you're in a good position. And I want us to just take a few seconds to take a few deep breaths, and we can breathe in that intention and release anything that is not productive. So I'm going to actually count us off. So breathing in those positive intentions and breathing out things that have not served you. Continue to slowly breathe in and exhale. Slowly taking another breath in with your positive intentions and breathing out. And two more breaths. One in and one out. And with this last breath, inhaling and committing to this practice daily of being intentional and releasing. Thank you.